ASM TV.
Hey everybody, CatSynth TV, and we are taking a detailed look at the new Hydrasynth at NAMM 2020.
So I'm Dominic Au, product manager of Asian Sound Machines. Today I'm glad to introduce the Hydrasynth to you guys. So we have two Hydrasynths released. One is the keyboard version and the other is the desktop version. The engines in both of them are identical. So it's an 8-voice digital wave morphing synthesizer. If we compare them, the difference is we have ribbon here on the keyboard version. We have polyphonic aftertouch keybed, 49 keys on the keyboard, and we have wheels and chord. On the desktop, we also actually have polyphonic aftertouch, but by doing that on the pads we have on them. So there's also scale and key mode on the pads. What's good about that on the desktop is you can actually play right away. There are quite a lot of rack or tabletop synths you're not able to play. You still need to hook up a controller to play it. So what's good about that is you can start right away, and it is rack mountable. So let's talk about the engine itself. So let's start on the module select. This is the part where it shows the signal flow of the actual engine. So you can see we have 3 oscillators here. So each of the oscillator can do single cycle waveforms. We have a collection of 219 waves to choose from. And for the first 2 oscillators, you can actually do something like a wave scan. So what wave scan does is like you put waves into the wavetable. So if you fill it up, for example, if I selected the wave scan, I can put in the waveforms in the 8 slots. So as you can see, these are already filled up. So you can even monitor what's going on each of the slots. You can see on the display, even you can know what's going on and you can play them and hear what's going on each slot. So for wave scan, let's init a patch to show you. Excuse me. So let's fill up. Now 8 waveforms are filled up into 8 slots. You can see on the scope. So this is a smooth morphing between each of the points. So this parameter, of course, can be modulated. So you can do modulation from whichever source you can think of, like envelope, LFO, polyphonic aftertouch, ribbon, or even incoming CV. So we have CV gates as well. And so this is how the wave scan work, like PPG style. And then after the oscillator, we have the mutants. So what mutants does is we have 7 algorithms in them. They can do processing. So after each of the oscillator 1 and 2, we have 2 mutants in series. So let's start from the first one. It is a linear FM. And then you have wave stack. It's like unison. It's splitting one voice into 5 voices and detune. And worth mentioning is you can see the dry wet is always there. So which means you can do parallel things. You can keep the dry signal from oscillator, and meanwhile you can do like a wet and process signal, and then you choose the dry wet to your taste. And then we have oscillator sync. You can sync from the oscillator itself or from other oscillators. And then we have 3 types of pulse width modulation. This is the original, like the typical pulse width modulation. And then we have a squeeze, pulse width squeeze modulation. So it is an interesting effect, like squeezing the wave to one side. So more variation in the pulse width mod. And the third one, we call it ASM pulse width. So what it does is it splits the waveform into 8 partials. And then you can edit. You can do the custom edit here. You can squeeze each of these partials individually. So it's like splitting the waveform into 8 parts, and each of those parts can be pulse width modulated. So it is a kind of like a crazy wave shaping feature. You can get a sound completely different after passing through this. And then we have a harmonic sweep. So you can sweep through the harmonic series and emphasize different parts of the frequency. So yeah, pretty much these are the algorithms in the Mutant. So you can stack them up actually. You can do crazy things like in voice, you can do unison and then you do wave stack in Mutant one and then another wave stack. So it's all up to you to how you use, how you design it. So the good thing we design the engine is we make those things available and you can always stack them up. You will not be losing voices or have other sacrifices throughout the process. So after the Mutants, let's talk about the ring noise. So there's a module of ring noise. You can do ring modulation and select sources. Pretty much all sources are selectable. Mutants, oscillators, noise, different mutants, even mod in from the CV input. So yeah, that's a ring mod. And then all of these outputs feed into mixer. So in mixer, of course, you have the level controls. We also have panning. So these are true panning. You can do panning for each sources from the mutants or ring noise output. And then at the same time, you have the filter ratio control. So we have two filters there. You can assign the ratio of the filter going into filter 1 and filter 2. So for example, 100% to filter 1 or 50-50. So this flexibility from every sources makes it many channels. So you can make it really wide in the stereo image. So this goes into the filter, and the filter, as you can see in the signal flow, can be in series or in parallel, so it depends on the sound you're going after. So let's talk about filter 1 first. So for filter 1 we have 11 types. The first two are the ladder filters, 12 dB, 24 dB low pass, and then we have compensated ladder filters, 12 and 24 as well. And then we have LPG filter, and we have modeled MS20 low pass, high pass. And we have a thriller here. So thriller is a Eurorack module, which is very interesting sounding filter. It can get really, really aggressive. So low pass, band pass, high pass. And we got a vowel filter, so it's a Foreman filter. And it's pretty fun to play with. So you can see the mouth moves. It's actually updating in real time, so you know how the sounds like at the same time you know how the mouth moves. As well, you can change the vowel order. So we added quite a lot of flexibility to this Foreman filter. So we have a drive in the filter as well, so you can do it in pre-filter or post-filter. Yeah, these are the filters, and this is the filter 2. Filter 2 is a ASM filter style filter. You can morph between low pass filter, band pass filter, and high pass filter. So more flexibility to tame the sound. And then after the filters, it gets into the effects part. So you can see the pre-effects and post-effects. Here's a light slot for effects you can load in. They are identical, so you can choose the same effects. But the placement does matter, because, for example, say you put a delay here before the reverb, or you flip it, inverted it sounds just different. So you have the flexibility to decide what effects goes first here. Say for you have chorus, flanger, rotary, phaser, lo-fi, tremolo, EQ, and compressor. So you can have a compressor before delay or after delay. It all depends on your taste. So for the compressor, it has sidechain. So you can do sidechain by BPM, or you can do manual sidechain, or you can even feed incoming signal to duck this internal sound. And we have delay and reverb with different types, cloud, plate, room, all. So it's pretty good sounding reverb there. So let's talk about other modulators for envelope and LFO. So we have envelopes with quite a lot of options here. You can you can determine the curves of the different phases. For example, the attack curve. So everything's real time, you can see what's going on here. And besides the curves control, you can have other things like legato, reset, free one. And of course, you have the envelope loop, so it can work like an LFO actually. So you can determine the number of times it loops or infinite. And then the envelope can be BPM sync as well. So envelope can works like LFO, and we have LFO which can works like envelope. So if you make it like one shot, so it's a one shot thing. It works like the envelope. So for LFO we have different types of shapes: sine wave, triangle, source, square, pulse, and sample and hold, and noise, random, and we have step. So step is pretty interesting. Of course, our LFO can sync to BPM as well. So for step, you can edit the steps. So you can see the real-time reflection here, like this. So besides, you can determine the steps. You can actually even change the steps number. So quite a lot of variations, and you can actually use the LFO to do rhythmic stuff. So that's the signal flow and the modulators, and even more crazier things on arpeggiator. So in the arpeggiator, as you can see, we have quite a lot of controls open on the interface. It's a good part for like performing, but at the same time it's good for sound designing, because most of the parameters in the arpeggiator can be modulated. So that's pretty crazy. And I'll also need to mention that our mod matrix, there are 32 slots. So it's pretty sufficient most of the time. And yeah, like parameters like mode, octave, division, this can be modulated. So if you have a, say like, synchronized LFO into BPM and then at the same time modulating this, you can get really rhythmic, complicated stuff. And we have something interesting here called ratchet and chance. So this is like repeating the step within the arpeggiator. So how many times it repeats itself? For example, one step it plays 2 times or even 4 times. So this value determines that. But if you set the chance to 0, it's not happening at all. So you need to set a probability of it. So the higher the chance it will occur more eventually. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
To find out more about the Hydrasynth, please visit their website and check out the description below this video. Thanks for watching. Check out more at www.catsynth.com, and please subscribe to CatSynth TV.
And you are watching CatSynth TV.